This is the Boss RV-500. We're going to be checking it out today. Much like the other 500 series demos that I've done, I want to say a big thank you to Mega Music for loaning me this. They responded to my request almost immediately when I said, hey, I've been getting a lot of requests on my channel to check out these 500 series pedals. Can I like maybe borrow them for a few days and make some videos? And they immediately said, yeah, come and pick them up. So cheers to the Mega guys. Very similar to the other 500 series pedals, we have got 4 knobs on the front panel, 3 foot switches, this selector switch, and our cool rotary time value knob. The main controls on the front panel are a pre-delay, effect level, and a low and high control for the reverb. There is also this cool little press foot switch that you can like press and scroll quickly with, which is going to control whatever is on the rather nicely sized screen here. We've got 4 buttons to help with in-depth editing, as well, of course, as this button here to select all the different reverb modes, and we've got everything from rooms, halls, plates, and springs to really weird stuff like shimmer, early reflection, and I think really cool for a reverb pedal, the non-linear reverb. Furthermore, a lot of the reverb modes also offer delay in there, so there's a little bit more than meets the eye with this. I had to play around with it for a couple of hours and didn't even realize that there was delay going, except when I moved to a couple of presets I was like, this doesn't sound like reverb, this sounds like delay. So that's probably why you should read the manual before you dive back in, but I'm too impatient to do that. On the back panel we've got stereo ins and outs, an extra pedal switch that you can use either for expression or as a control switch, USB in and out for updating the firmware, and I'm guessing an editor, and also MIDI in and out. It's also really impressive that it uses nowhere near as much current as some of the other big competitors, so I've been able to run the RV-500, DD-500 and MD-500 off a standard T-Rex fuel tank basically with no hassles, and they sound really good. So let's get straight into it and have a listen to some of the sounds. Alright, let's have a listen to some sounds from the RV-500. I'm playing my Strat through my Fractal AX8. Here is the clean sound. Let's start with the basic room reverb, and then we will move through each of the different modes. And after that, we're going to move on and have a look at some of the advanced parameters and some of the cool stuff you can do with this. So here's the room reverb. Okay, now that we've done a very brief tour of what each of the effects actually does, let's have a look at the in-depth menu. So if I press edit twice, you can see the first thing is that I have a selection, in this case, of different rooms. So I can have an ambient room. You can hear there's quite a distinct difference between each of those. Following down, I can obviously adjust the time like I could from the main menu, the pre-delay, the effect level, and then I've got the low and the high control. So these are actually normally mapped to these knobs here. For example, the low control, you can see, moves along there, the high control moves along there. With the low control quite high and the high control on a negative setting, you get a very sort of just dull ambient reverb. That's kind of good if you want like a particularly, you know, sort of dubby reverb or something. The opposite kind of setting is really cool. It's nice and bright and spanky. So if you need a reverb that isn't sort of going to sound muddy or get in the way of your chords, this is the way to go. If you're playing funk or rock or things like that, I would have those controls set in that way. Let's have a look at some of the other modes available and the types available in those modes. So obviously we've got the hall. I can select between a small, medium, or large hall. The large hall with the time really high is absolutely beautiful to listen to. Whereas if I turn the small hall on with a very short time, I get this kind of thing. I just kind of get a very subtle thickener. So I think if people who are using reverb either want an incredibly subtle way to sort of add ambience to their tone, or they want a full-on lush effect. So having these different types on each of the modes is really handy. When we move on to the plate type, there is basically, sorry, the plate mode, there's no extra type, so you just get one sort of plate reverb. I really like this plate. It's really nice and sweet and bright. If you're into the kind of wiry Strat John Mayer kind of thing, the plate is your vibe. Now, with spring reverbs, everybody's going to ask, does it drip? So can you get that sound when basically it sounds like, you know, a tap dripping or something when you kind of hit palm mute? That's the sound. So this definitely drips. This sounds really cool with the bridge pickup of a Strat. I like that. Again, there's no extra types there, there's just one spring mode, but you can adjust the time. So, and it does the drip, which is super cool. Now the shimmer reverb, this is a very, I imagine this has been highly requested, basically because of the Strymon Big Sky and worship music and so much modern pop music using these sort of like keyboard type effects. We have control over the pitch as well as fine tuning. So what I like to do is set the pitch to +12 and then add, say, like +8 on one side and -8 on the other side. So you sort of get a little bit of stereo detune happening as well. Crank the pre-delay as well. We can turn that one up to like up to 200 milliseconds, which is pretty amazing. There we go. So let's set it, I don't know, about 150 with the level nice and high. I'll do some volume swells. and if that doesn't do what you want, then I don't think you know what you want. Cranking the time up again, this is amazing. Basically, the shimmer is Hans Zimmer, eat your heart out. The fast decay mode's pretty cool because you can set a long time, and again, it will die off in this sort of natural or supernatural kind of way, because it doesn't really sound like a normal space. It sounds like a very acoustically treated space. That one's kind of cool. The early reflection mode as well is nice if you like that sort of special effect reverb. That kind of gives you almost like a slapback delay kind of thing. The mode that I really like is a non-linear mode because we can get gated reverb in a guitar pedal. This is amazing. Have a listen to this. If we set the time quite low, you kind of get that big 80s thing happening. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We also have a reverse type for the non-linear reverb, which is pretty interesting. That one is sort of funky, similar to the special effects reverb, which does these kind of like granular things. You've got lo-fi, sounds like this. The repeats sound like a Hammond organ there, and we've also got this storm setting, which is pretty wild. I don't know how to describe this one. Yeah, if you're into really, really weird sounds, the storm mode is your vibe. That's kind of got a Kevin Shields, My Bloody Valentine vibe going on there. So moving on from the sound effects, we've got the dual reverb type. So we can select two different reverbs. For example, we might want a spring reverb, because why not, blended with a plate reverb. Again, because why not? This is on number one. You can see all these controls, and then I'll select plate. So both of them together sounds pretty cool. And the way I like to use this is a longer delay time with something like the plate, together with a short delay time for the, I'm saying delay time, I mean decay for the spring. So you kind of get a best of both worlds thing happening. You can hear there I've got the drip from the spring, but I've got that beautiful sparkle from the plate reverb. I'm a big fan of this. Again, this is one of those things where it's like, if you're going to get the pedal to do one thing, get it to do this, because it's so flexible and so versatile, and you can actually kind of come up with new combinations of reverb sounds. So that's the dual reverb mode, not to be confused with the JCM 900 dual reverb. That's a terrible joke. And we've got the Roland SRV modeled in here as well. We've got a couple of different selections there. We can choose the like 0.3 second mode, 1 or 7. Oh, look at all of these. How cool is this? So many different modes. So it's kind of the whole thing modeled in there. Let's just have a listen. And again, a whole bunch of subtle variations on the same thing, but again, that is emulating a classic rack unit, which is pretty cool. So that completes the sweep of everything that is going on there. Again, immensely powerful. This is like having a whole collection of pedals and a whole collection of rack units, and, you know, all of it available in a really small size. Let's have a listen to some of it with some distorted sounds though, because I realize I haven't done that with this pedal. So I will just bring up a sort of standard rock crunch kind of thing. I've got one here. Let's have a listen to how it sounds. I'll just turn the level up. And the SRV mode's really cool if you want that sort of like 80s thing. I'll turn the level down a little bit, but yeah, lots of classic records from the 80s. This is the guitar sound. Which I think is pretty cool. It's almost like an alternative to a delay. So again, this pedal does more than just like simple reverbs. You know, you've got these cool like spatial effects and things like that. The plate reverb with distorted guitar, if I set it to about 1 second, is pretty cool. So with all of these reverbs, not only do we have a reverb section, we also have a delay section. You just have to keep scrolling down. You can see here, you can connect the delay in series or in parallel to the reverb and blend it in as you see fit. So in this case, I've got the effect level. Let's turn that up a little bit. Have a listen to this. So this just adds further functionality in there, which I think is really cool. It's like a hidden feature. I didn't realize this for like the first few hours I was playing with the pedal, but then on a couple of settings I was like, man, this sounds like a delay. There must be something wrong with it. But no, all you have to do, scroll into the delay section, and then you can dial in the delay either in series or parallel, which is a beautiful thing to do, and it has all the extra features in there. So with a common section as well, with spillover and direct level and things like that. So if you don't want to buy the RV-500 and the DD-500, you do get some very basic delay features in the RV-500. So it's a really thoughtful purchase if you're wanting to get into the game with these Boss pedals, but you don't want to have to spend a whole bunch of money. Get the RV-500 because it does reverb and it does delay. So that was a little bit embarrassing to find out down the track, where I was just like, oh cool, I'm going to do this demo on reverb, and didn't address the delay section, but I had to do that. I had to sort of punch this in and make sure I cover it. So there you go, it does delay as well. What an amazing pedal. This is the Boss RV-500. If you enjoyed this video, please check out my videos on the digital delay and modulation pedal that Boss make in a similar format, as well as a couple of combination videos I've done with them. Just hit the subscribe button if you like this. Hopefully you enjoy the content and you can stick around. And as always, let me know what you think of the video and what you think of the tones. Thanks so much for tuning in.